Good evening, everyone. This is the August 10, 2020 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. My name is Michael Garland, and I'm chairman of the commission. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tom Fallon.
Present.
Michelle Colaras. Michelle?
Present.
Excellent.
I'm here.
Carolyn Corriveau. Speak
I'm
up.
here.
Okay, speak up. Allison Holmes.
I'm here.
Nathan Rand.
I'm here as well.
Nathan Rand. And Tony Romiu. All right.
I'm here.
All right. So except for Nathan, we certainly have a quorum. And we also have some town officials and employees participating. So when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Building Commissioner Caleb Moody.
Here.
Land Use Clerk Ginger Butow.
Here.
All right, outstanding. So good evening, everyone. This open meeting of the Town of Auburn Conservation Commission of Wednesday, August 10, 2020 is now called to order at 7:02 p.m. This meeting is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current and ongoing state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you will find posted with agenda materials for this meeting on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Conservation Commission is convening by remote participation for the public only, although some staff, in fact, are physically located in the planning board meeting room in the town hall. Those town employees are practicing social distancing in accordance with the governor's orders. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, call 1-408-650-3123 and enter access code 942-845-549. Or the public can join via computer at gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. The remote access information has been posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. Also, this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. So accordingly, those members of the Conservation Commission, employees and members of the public who participate, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and please take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Now, with regard to the ground rules for conducting the meeting, I'm going to start shortly with the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. So I, as chairman of the commission, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. And also, please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. And if members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. So after the members have had an opportunity to speak, I will afford public comment as follows. I will first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify themselves by their names and addresses only. And once I have a list of all public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Finally, each item taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. If for some reason we have technical difficulties, I will suspend the meeting until we resolve those issues. And with that, the first item on tonight's agenda is the 7 p.m. public hearing. David Elkinson of for EB Realty Trust for a notice of intent for the construction and associated grading of a two-family home at 6 Pioneer Lane in Auburn. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Okay, that was Tom Fallon. Is there a second? Come on, don't be shy.
Second it, Carolyn.
Thank you, don't be shy, folks. All right, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's a vote. Is there anyone on behalf of the applicant?
Thank you, Chairman. Glenn Kowalski from BPP Environmental.
Good evening, Mr. Grabowski. So, I have been to the site, and I know other members of the commission have been to the site. Specifically, we're well acquainted with it because of the construction that took place at 4 Pioneer Lane, the adjacent property. And so I believe we continued the public hearing in this matter from our meeting, our first meeting in July. Commissioners the opportunity to go out to the site and take a look for themselves.
Yes, sir.
All right. Have any members of the commission been able to go out to the site?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. Well, there's an honest person there. Anyone else?
Neither have I.
All right. That's right.
No, I did see it. I did see it when we went for 4.
Okay.
This is Carolyn. I did see it when we went for 4. Yeah.
You know, they say confession is good for the soul. Tom, you've been out
I
there.
did see it 2 weeks ago, yes, sir.
All right. So Mr. Fallon has gone out there. Mr. Kravosky, I mean, when I went out there, it's a well-stabilized site. The well-end area is well towards the rear of the property. I, speaking for myself only, reviewed the plan and the application. Everything seems to be in order. Do you have anything else to add, sir?
No, thank you, sir.
All right. Brevity is the soul of it. Tom, any questions?
Chairman.
I'm sorry, say again, sir? I didn't hear that.
Unless other people have questions.
Very good. Are there any commissions from the board members? Okay. There being none, are there any comments from the public?
Yes, my name is Chris Broderick. I'm the adjacent property at 4 Pioneer Lane, and I do have a couple of questions about the work that's going to be proposed for 6 Pioneer Lane, as well as how it will impact the back of our house.
Okay.
As you mentioned, you're very familiar with some of the backstory.
Okay, so Mr. Broderick, if you would, Mr. Kravosky's on the line. I believe he can hear you. So why don't you, one at a time, please pose your question. Start with a question. Mr. Kravosky will have an opportunity to respond, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, certainly, and thank you for the time for allowing me to do that. So as you're well aware, the back of our property is very prone to flooding. I know Mr. Kravosky's been here. We spoke probably about a month ago when he was here. I know that you've seen some of the flooding that happens not only on our property, but also that backs up to Waterman Road as well. Our neighbors there have complained as recently as this spring, just due to the water that's been backing up. So back in April 7th in 2016, you had a meeting that I watched the minutes for. It's before we owned the property. You mentioned that there was, an enforcement order put into place, and that the standing water could not be allowed to exist. And that's a quote from the meeting that happened on April 7th, 2016. When Mr. Kravosky was on the property recently, he said that the water intended to be there. It's intended to flood and hold a substantial amount of water. Whereas in 2016, you had mentioned that it's a public health threat and it couldn't be allowed to exist. So I'm wondering what the construction on Pioneer Lane for 6 Pioneer Lane and how that's going to make sure that we don't continue to have standing water. I know there was some temporary stuff put in a number of years ago, but that's since filled in. It's backfilled quite a bit. So what's kind of the plan to make sure that not only our property at 4 Pioneer Lane, but also the property on Waterman Road don't continue to flood every year?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can answer that.
Please, go ahead.
Mr. Kowalski, thank you. The area was not to be over flooding. The elevation of 648 was agreed upon. In addition, that was the original elevation of flooding, where at that point the water would crest. So, and we have a plan in front of us, generally a southwestern, a plan in the northern direction would flow from northeast direction off of number 4 and through number 6. The area was designed as an isolated land, had been an isolated land since flooding, and just a pond. Filled in a portion of it, filled in the crest outflow point, went through Quinn Engineering and Charlie looked at. If you can't hear me, I'll
Please speak up if you could.
screen. Thank you. So 628 outflow elevation was agreed upon by the commission. That was the original elevation of the hard to maintain it. It is on the maintained with 628. That is as required by the Conservation Commission, Ireland, other conditions. Wanted that in the deed. Now it is in the deed. Now that is exhibited as notice of fence. And so the area can't be drained and dug out as had occurred recently to drop the elevation of the pooling area. So the flooding that was mentioned in 16 was the flooding because the crest outflow point was filled in, backed up onto Waterman, the two, and we were required to bring it back to the elevation that had been pre-existing prior to the pond filling. That is the elevation that we're going to maintain on number 6. It's gone through other hearings. The only reason, again, that we're in front of you is the client on number 6 allowed his bylaw order conditions to expire. They're just re-upping on that bylaw order. Understand on that number 4, this is the last I'll say, questions, but it's no water, but that is not how this was designed on number 4. That's not how it was designed as a crest. Thank you.
Mr. Broderick, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if, like, kind of reviewing the commentary from 2016, it seems like something might have changed between that meeting and today. And I'm wondering, you know, back in 2016 when you put that enforcement order in for Richard, was it the intent that the area back there did still continue to hold standing water?
I mean, I can, you're asking me to refresh my memory from 4 years ago. My memory, sir, is that we never expected it to be drained entirely. We expected it to continue to carry water. In fact, when I went out to the property, I think I met you and your wife either in late June or early July. I was rather surprised that it was almost drier. It certainly was not carrying any surface water to speak of. So to answer your question, I don't think it was the intention for that area, that pond, if you want to call it a pond, to ever be totally drained. I mean, I understand certainly issues or concerns about mosquitoes and that sort of thing, and I don't know where your experience has been since you acquired the property. I do know that when the enforcement order was issued, that Mr. Kowalski, on behalf of his client, did take steps to remediate the flooding that especially occurred in the backyard, and I forget the number of the house, but on Waterman. And you're familiar with the property, Mr. Broderick, because it's to the right of your backyard. And that, my understanding, because we haven't received any complaints since the remedial work was done, is that whatever flooding that was affecting that property on Waterman Avenue was in fact taken care of. So I don't know if that answers your question, sir, but like I said, I think that's the best of my recollection from 4 years ago.
Sure, I know that I'm bringing up something from way back. You know, this year it's dry because it's been a particularly severe drought, as of course you know. But last year we had a pretty bad algae bloom back there, which was another concern of ours, not just the mosquitoes, but also the algae bloom that was happening, and other things. So we just want to make sure that you know, we're not causing a local nuisance, you know, with mosquitoes or algae or other issues, you know, back there. I don't know if the people on Waterman Road, you know, setting the commission, you know, I've had some chats with them. Of course, we're adjacent neighbors, so we do have conversations, and you know, we've talked about different solutions about how we might be able to deal with that going forward. But as you noted, right now it's not an issue because it's been so dry for the last several months.
Sure. What I was going to say, well, before you start, Glenn, let me just say. So, Mr. Broderick, I think if you have concerns about mosquitoes or there being other issues, you may want to contact the Board of Health because, you know, if you think that that's an area that might need spraying, perhaps they can assist you in terms of giving you some guidance on that. So I'm sorry, Mr. Kowalski, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you again, sir. The Quinn Engineering did calculate with this documentation that the area was just under a quarter acre feet of water, just under the threshold for state jurisdiction for flooding, but it did meet the threshold for your bylaw for flooding, and that's why we had to restore it. Also under the bylaw, vegetated wetland, which you also, an isolated vegetated wetland, which you also protect in the bylaw.
Yes.
So for two reasons, this went in front of the board under the bylaw as isolated lands for flooding and isolated vegetated wetland. It was our requirement to then restore it. That's why we dug it out, capacity, replanted it, and that's what we have now. So any channelization that drained it lower than 628 now would be a violation of a perpetuity sort of conditions, and on the deed says 628 is maintained, not to be filled any, so that we don't have. It was always flooding back here. Let's say I flagged the original CVS and Applebee's Cullinan Engineering. That does flood in the spring, and when the water table starts dropping, it generally dries up most years, and that's the type of wetland we have back there. A headwater that is filled in the spring, and generally, if it's a drier summer, it's going to drain down and be dry. But it does have hydric soils in it, and it maintain and show that original outfall point, and that's all we're going to go back to. That's what we're requesting to go back to, and bring it back and make sure that our outfall point 628, no lower, no higher, right now. And one other point to that, the plan, it will be a sheet outflow, as it has been historically, as we saw in the field. Not going to make a defined channel, because then this area would be actually could be called bordering vegetated wetland. And because of that, we're maintaining this a 6 foot wide sheet flowing out to number 6.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Grabowski. Mr. Broderick, do you have anything else?
No, that's all I have for today. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Are there any other comments from the board?
Yes.
And who is that? Is that you, Michelle?
Michelle? Yes, it is.
Okay.
So, if it's mostly in the spring, Chris, I was one of the ones who met you, and I think that we looked into trying to make sure that CVS and I think it's Wendy's didn't stockpile the snow towards the back of that lot to try and make that better, so that the water didn't drain down into that backyard to make that wetland worse for you. I think that there's an order. They haven't been doing that, right?
One of the reasons that
No, they have not been. They've been pretty good about not throwing snow over the hill to push that into our yard.
That's good. That's good.
All right, I just wanted to make sure of that. Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Is there any other comments? If there are no other comments, is there a motion to close?
This is Carolyn. I make a motion.
All right, we're going to give it to Carolyn. She jumped in first. A motion to close. Is there a second?
This is Michelle. I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Carolyn, a second by Michelle. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of closing the hearing signify by saying aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, it's a vote. So, Ms. Grabowski, I believe we will be issuing the order of conditions this evening. So I thank you for your attendance. Mr. Broderick, thank you for participating, and have a good evening.
Mr. Darling and Commission.
Thank you very much, guys.
No, you're welcome. The next item on our agenda is a 7:10 public hearing. Gary Pike and Walter Koza for an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation at 255 Prospect Street in Auburn. Is there a motion to open?
So moved. Tom?
Okay, is there a second?
Tony, and I second.
Oh, Tony. Okay, very good. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay. It's a vote. All right. Mr. Kravosky, are you there?
Yes, sir, thank you, Mr. Dowd.
You're welcome. So, go ahead. Why don't you proceed, sir?
Thank you, sir. This original Polk property, 21 plus or minus acres, was delineated this year by environmental, my crew, audited the site where we're at, and we'd like to set up a site inspection mission month, where all the flags are up. Summit Engineering had just located them. You can find multiple soil boards throughout the site, approved hydrant, non-hydrant soil boundaries, which is along that wetland boundary. The only other point might be made that there's a road drainage swale dug by DPW on different parts of this road. And there was a question as to whether or not that road drainage swale is wetland. And I'm qualifying it as a wetland. The soils in the bottom, when it was not deep enough, it ended up getting into hydrant soils. I had some wetland vegetation along the edge of that drainage swale, and so I flagged it as such, and it does normally follow the maintenance of road drainage swales under a limited project that the town was cleaned out. Drainage swales are viewed as wetlands. They have hydrant soil vegetation. We don't see a lot of significance to it with the DPW, but well, there. Oh, right. That's the only other point on this delineation. A small side point note, which you might know about in the 70s. This was the location, I believe, the oldest house in Auburn until the kids burned it down sometime in the 70s.
No, that's unfortunate. Glenn, can you speak up a little bit? You're kind of fading in and out.
Okay, so I'm just asking for a continuance to view the site with the board.
Okay. Exactly. I think you know how we operate. So, would you be available this Saturday for a site walk, Glenn?
I will. I have a violation for restoring in Leicester, but for this, what time would you like to speak if you can hear me? I'm wondering where the microphone is on this screen. So I hope you can hear me. I'm speaking directly at it. I know I've had other towns with a problem hearing me. I have to ask my technical people where I'm supposed to be yelling at.
Okay.
But,
Well, we can hear you. We can hear you now. Well, first of all, would other members of the commission be available for a site walk this Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, that's Mr. Fallon.
This is Carolyn, no.
Okay.
No, Carolyn, no.
Michelle, are you available?
This is Tony.
No, unfortunately, I'm not.
Okay. Allison, are you available?
Probably the following Saturday would be better for me.
That's fine.
I can do the following Saturday as well.
Sounds good.
All right, so let's see. The
Yeah.
following Saturday would be Saturday, August 22nd. Are you available on the 22nd, Glenn?
Yes, sir.
All right, so shall we say 9 o'clock then?
Yes, sir.
9 a.m. So, okay, and you agree to continue the public hearing on this matter to our next meeting, which is going to be August 26th. Correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So is there a motion to continue the public hearing for 255 Prospect Street to Wednesday, August 26th?
So moved. Tom?
Is there a second?
This is Tony. I second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and there's no opposition, very good. Ginger, do we have something on the agenda for the 26th
Yes.
at 7 o'clock? Probably?
Yeah.
Okay, so how about continuing the public hearing for 255 Prospect Street to 7:10? Agreeable, Glenn?
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right, very good. So we will see you on Saturday, August 22nd at 9 a.m.
I appreciate your time and the commission's time. Thank you. We'll see you then.
All right, very good.
Appreciate it.
All right, have a pleasant evening.
So, thank you.
Okay. All right. So I think the commissioner is aware of the fact that someone called with a complaint about digging going on, a potential wetland violation at 6 Commonwealth Avenue. I know Mr. Moody had gone out to the property. I actually went out to the site this afternoon, and the area has been extensively worked on. There's been just extensive site work. Looks like a bobcat was used. Trees, a significant number of trees were cut down. And so the question was whether or not any of that work was within our jurisdiction. And so as it turns out, by going to the GIS maps available on the town website, it appears that the back corner of the property on the left side, I don't know what direction it is actually in a wetland area, which would confer jurisdiction on our board. The applicant in this particular case did not file a request for determination. He certainly did not file a notice of intent. And so the work that was done is in violation of our bylaw and our regulations. So but the work apparently has already been done. So the question then becomes, I think, a delineation of the wetland. If there's a determination that the work was only in the buffer zone, what needs to be done to restore that area? So I'd like to, to be fair to both the property owner and also to the commission members, I think you should all go out and take a look at it. I mean, I'm convinced that based on what we've determined, based on our research, and Mr. Moody has put a schematic, or if you will, a diagram showing the property and also where the wetland area is. Clearly that corner is within our jurisdiction. So what is the pleasure of the board regarding this property? Don't be shy.
I think we probably have to see it, Carolyn. I think we probably should visit.
Okay, I think the damage has been done. When I went out there, the property owner, I believe he's the property owner, said he was thinking about cutting more trees. And so I could see maybe issuing a cease and desist, or just an order prohibiting him from doing any further work until you've had an opportunity to go and look at the property, and then at that point we can make a determination on what we'd like to do. But that's my feeling.
Okay.
You know,
this is Carolyn. I go along with what you said.
And I think, unfortunately, even though we're going out to Prospect Street in 2 weeks, I don't know that this can wait 2 weeks. So I don't know if any of you would have the opportunity to get out there, say, in the next few days. If not, and I get it, we're all very busy, and COVID certainly imposes new obstacles in our lives. If you can't get out there, my suggestion would be to send an order, send a letter just encouraging the property owner not to do any further work until we've had a chance to really look at the site and review the situation.
Mm-hmm.
How does that sound?
Yeah.
Is that agreeable?
That sounds. I like that. This is Carolyn. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
So if you agree, is there a motion then?
I make a motion to send a letter, a cease and desist letter.
Okay.
Saying that please stop all work until we can review
The situation.
what's being done.
Okay.
At 6 Commonwealth. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Is there a second? I'm sorry?
I'll second that, Carolyn.
Okay, Carol, thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's a vote.
Aye.
Terrific. So Ginger, I'll draft a letter and I'll send it to you.
Okay,
I'll get to that tomorrow, it shouldn't take long.
okay, sounds good.
All right, so with respect to other business, we had a discussion, if you recall, about 54 Faith Avenue at our July meeting. That has not come back up. We have not received any filing from the applicant that I'm aware of. The next item is 33 Sword Street, and we did receive,
That's the filing.
Oh, 54 Faith Ave, yes, that's the filing, that's for next week, or for your next hearing.
okay,
That
so,
is the next one,
all right, so we will see that then at the next meeting.
yes.
And is that a notice of intent or a request for determination? If you know.
I do not know off the top of my head, I would have to go look, it's on my desk.
It's all right, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. With regard to 33 Sword Street, we received a request, if I can find it,
Up right at the top.
oh, that's right, thank you. The property owner at 33 Sword Street wants to amend the order of conditions to allow vehicle washing in a specific area. Is there anyone online to discuss 33 Sword Street? Okay, apparently not. I mean, what's interesting is that they just submitted this, they did not schedule it for a hearing. I think our procedure has been that if someone wants to amend an order of conditions, it's got to be a public hearing on that request. And I think members of the commission are well aware of the fact that the adjacent property owner, when he learned that there was vehicle washing being conducted, objected to that vehicle washing being done. So I believe that the applicant and it's FW Webb, they need to understand or be told that this proposed amendment needs to be done via public hearing. So perhaps we can contact Mr. Hebner, who is a VP of Engineering for Alliance Environmental Group, and let him know that he has to, follow the rules, basically. Is there any discussion from the commission about that?
No.
Okay. We have as other business 385 South Bridge Street, and I don't recall why. Does anyone remember?
The trees were all dead before.
I beg your pardon?
Sorry, the trees were all dead.
Oh,
We didn't want to issue the certificate of compliance because.
oh, that's right, the arborvitae's, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So it looks
Oh,
like
yes.
a ton of pictures.
And
of the
get-
trees.
Voila! So actually, I had been there, and I did look at them, and they appear to be healthy. I could be wrong.
Where's 385 next to it? Yeah, 385.
So that's where
We still need to have a formal.
that's the electric charging station at the Auburn Mall. And remember, we went there, and the arborvitae's had died. So they replaced them. We told them to replace them, or we requested nicely that they replace them, and they did.
Yep.
All right.
Yep, they did. Yep.
And I think, as you indicated, I think that was the only thing holding up certificate of compliance.
That's it.
All right. So that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, they look healthy. That was a month ago. If you'd like to traipse out there and take another look, we can certainly do that. But in any event. All right. Well, that cleared that up.
Michael, do they have to have it as a formal thing, or how does that work?
No, I mean, if someone, typically, there does not have to be a formal hearing. People or applicants have submitted requests for certificate of compliance. We normally check out the property, and then if it meets, all the conditions, then we can issue the certificate of compliance without needing to have a public hearing on the matter. So, having said that,
Essentially, we could drive by next, you know.
yeah, I can't imagine there's a real urgency in them getting the certificate of compliance. So, considering that we're going to be meeting in 2 weeks, if you could just drive by there and confirm, for yourself that the trees are healthy, then we can issue the certificate of compliance at the next meeting on August 26th.
Okay.
Okay? The next item was 250 Leicester Street. You'll recall that was the pipe that led into the adjacent pond, and the property had been recently sold. The property owner, we sent a letter to the property owner. He said he was going to go ahead and cut the pipe. I have not been out there to check it out, but I will. And he seemed pretty sincere about it, so I think that's an easy thing to check on, and that's something that can be done pretty easily. Finally, with respect to 404 Leicester Street, I had an opportunity to speak to Ken Ethier, and Mr. Ethier indicated that his property abuts on an easement where the railroad runs, and he gave me a story of how it's been there for a very long time. But apparently there's a drainage culvert that runs underneath the tracks. That culvert apparently had been clogged up basically, or filled in by debris. And so back probably in May or June, he told me his son went out there with a shovel just to clear out the culvert so that it would flow and not back up. So I believe the person who called us with that complaint didn't understand that his son was actually trying to clear the culvert so that it would drain properly. So I had driven by there before. I saw no evidence of any wetland violation, and the explanation that Mr. Ethier provided to me, made perfect sense. So I was satisfied with his explanation. If any of you want to take a look, be my guest, but I'm satisfied with what he told me.
Okay.
You're very agreeable tonight.
Michelle, I take your word for it.
Well, that's dangerous now. Just kidding. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Meeting minutes. Do we have any new meeting minutes? Okay, no new meeting minutes. I know you're disappointed,
I think
folks.
so.
I know it's the highlight of the meetings. It has been in past years. In any event, if there is no new business, we will meet at 255 Prospect Street on Saturday, August 22nd at 9 a.m. We'll go right to the property. I will prepare the letter to go to the owner of 6 Commonwealth Avenue. We will notify Mr. Hevner that he's got to file with us if he wants the amendment to the order of conditions. And if there's no other new business, is there a motion to adjourn?
We have to do.
Oh, I beg your
See?
pardon. I beg your pardon. We have to do an order of conditions for 6 Pioneer Lane.
Yes.
I got ahead of myself. So, any volunteers?
Carolyn?
Tom?
All right. I make a motion that we issue
Go, Tom.
a standard order plus numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11. Catch basin.
There's that channel in the
In
back.
the channel, yep. And a special condition that channel has to be maintained at that elevation of, I believe it was 628.
Right. Okay, that's your motion.
That's my motion.
Is there a second?
Okay.
Okay, Carolyn, meaning you second?
Second that.
All right. Excuse me, is there any discussion?
Yeah.
Any discussion?
No. Repeat. Just repeat it, please.
Oh, she wants you to repeat it. You should have been listening, Carolyn.
Repeat it, just want to be sure.
Okay.
Standard order plus 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11,
Oh, yeah.
and that's it. I suppose we could put 12 in there
Thank you,
too.
Tom.
We'll put 12 in there too, why not?
And also that the channel will be maintained at the elevation set forth in the deed for 4 Lane in Auburn. Okay, is there a second?
Yep.
Carolyn seconds. Any discussion?
I did, yes.
Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, it's a vote. All right, everyone,
I'm gonna abstain, Mike.
you gonna abstain?
Savell, and I'm gonna abstain.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
If there is no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
It's Carolyn?
Carolyn?
Okay.
Seconded.
All right, Michelle seconds. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's a vote. All right, everyone, thank you for your attendance. Have a pleasant evening, and we will see you on Saturday, August 22nd. All right, good night.
I do have a family obligation that day.
All right, Tony.
I will not be there that Saturday.
All right, you're forgiven this time.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
That's all right, don't worry about it. Thank you, sir. All right, good night, everyone.
All right.